Okay, so this semester we are looking at object-oriented software development with Java, okay, with Java programming. Okay, usually what we all know as Java 1, okay, meaning that there is another course we'll be doing next semester, which also involves Java. Okay, so we named this Java 1 and then that of next semester Java 2. Okay, so the course code CPS 104, and it's a 3 hours course, so we are doing more 3 contact hours. Also, when it comes to you having any issue regarding the course or you want to get in touch, my email is available to do that. I'd rather we do emails than students calling me. Okay, with emails, there's always record to show that you sent a mail and this was the issue. Okay, so I'd rather we do emails. Only your reps are being given that privilege or the opportunity to call. Okay, but if there's any other thing you want to reach out to, you can send me a mail, and that's the email address. Okay. All right, so to the course description, this course will enable you to apply object-oriented programming concept to solve substantial problems. Okay. Now, you should be able to understand the basics of computer programming, basics of Java programming, then object-oriented concepts such as classes, objects, constructors, which are methods, getters and setters, inheritance, interfacing, polymorphism, and encapsulation. I left one out, that's abstraction. Sorry. Abstraction. Okay. So the objective of this course is to understand the basics of Java programming, to understand object-oriented programming concepts, and then to apply this object-oriented programming concept to develop in developing simple console-related or console-based applications, solving problems. Okay. So that's our objective for this semester. Now, the basics regarding Java programming would, however, be related to what we've done or what we did last semester. So last semester we saw some basic concepts when it comes to, or some basic elements when it comes to programming. Okay, so with a main focus on C++. So we did more of the basic elements, data types, identifiers, keywords, operators, basic input and output expressions. We looked at the flow control, that's the conditional statements, that's the if-else statement and the switch case, the loops as well. Then we looked at functions. I think we ended on array or so, array of functions. Okay, we didn't do much of the pointers and the introduction to OOP. But this semester, we'll be looking at those basic concepts again, using Java programming language, and then go further into the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay. Now, this is the content based on what we are going to cover. this semester. We have introduction, getting to know Java programming, what Java programming is all about, and then setting up the development environment. Okay, so we use today's session to cover the first two contents that we have. Then we continue to look at basics in Java programming. So where we talk about the data types, identifiers, keywords, comments, we'll look at input and output operations, input and output and operations or operators. Then we'll look at flow control. Okay, so just like we did last semester, the if else statement, the switch case. Okay, so I'm assuming that these are concepts you already understand. So mainly we'll be looking at practical examples to implement the theory behind these topics. Then we look at loops, and then we look at arrays. Okay, now those are things we'll cover before our mid-semester exam. Now after the exam, the whole focus will be on the concept of object-oriented programming. Okay, because that is what the course code or the course title, or that's what the course title tells us. Okay, object-oriented software development. Okay, so our main focus should go into the concept of objects and classes. Okay, so we look at objects, what they are, classes, methods, constructors, and then access modifiers. Then you go further to talk about some of the principles, mainly inheritance, overriding, abstract class and methods, interfacing, polymorphism, and encapsulation. Okay, so these are the topics we are going to cover this semester. Now to the course delivery and methodology, how we intend to approach, or how I intend to approach the course. There'll be lectures. Okay, so I intend that our online lectures, as we are having at the moment, will be focused more on the content or on our material or our handouts. Okay, so it's going to be more of theory. Okay, I repeat it again. The online session, I'll focus more on the theoretical part. Okay, so that we can focus on the practicals when we meet in class for the face-to-face. Okay, so there'll be teaching demonstration mainly when we meet in class for face-to-face, as well as group practical and group presentations. Okay, so this is going to be the approach. The online lectures will be theory. We'll be going through the material. I'll be explaining some concepts to you. Then when we meet on face-to-face, the first 1 hour will be for demonstration. So I pick few examples, 1 or 2 examples, and then we come up with some demonstrations, some practicals. We all practice with it. Then the next 1 hour, I'll give an assignment, okay, which will be done in class. So a programming assignment, and this assignment will not be any different from what I'll do within the first hour. So you perform that assignment in groups. Okay, so I think the class size is 90. So we would have groups of 5. Okay, 5 members in the group. So I'll speak to your class rep and then we'll work around it. I'm actually looking at using your performance from last semester for the grouping so that it will be balanced, not going to be skewed towards people who are exceptionally good and people who are struggling, but there'll be a fair balance in the grouping. And subsequently, we are going to maintain this grouping even probably for exams and the subsequent semesters in level 200. Okay. And there will be times where we have presentations. Okay, so whatever assignment you are given, whatever code you're able to write, you come out as groups to defend and tell the class how you were able to solve those problems. Okay, so our face-to-face session this sem will be more interactive. And if you tend to miss the face-to-face sessions, it means that you are missing the assignment. So if you look at the course content and we are having, let's say, about 12 weeks. So let me just take revision week and then the first week out, and then maybe the mid-semester. We are left with 9 weeks. Okay, so out of that 9 weeks, I assume that you have maybe about 4 face-to-face out of that 9 weeks. Okay, so that means that you are going to have 4 different assignments for the face-to-face. So if you miss out on one and you have to make up for it, that will be between you and I in my office. So you come with your laptop and write that code alone. Okay, so I encourage each and everyone, try as much as possible to be available for the face-to-face sessions. Okay, so that you don't miss any of these assignments, and also you work in as a group, you get to understand each other better. Okay, so that'll be for the introduction to the course. Is there any issues, any comments from anyone? You can bring it up before we actually go into today's topic.
Sir.
Yes, Monica.
Yeah. Please, most of them are complaining about the Saturday issue.
Yeah, we'll discuss that at the end of the class. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have any question regarding what the content I've just discussed or introduced to you and the mode of assessment and all that, okay, you can bring it up and then.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, please, most of us for the first semester, majority of the things we haven't been able to understand. So if this semester this can be modified a little bit for us to get the concepts.
When you say modify, which kind of modification are you talking about?
Sir, most of us, somebody like me, let me speak for myself. Somebody like me, you see, most of us, we did different courses when we were in secondary school before we are diverting it. So majority of the things there, I didn't understand from the beginning of the same. Yeah, that is my problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you okay, let me ask, how frequent have you been in class?
Oh, sir, that one there have been coming, but just that some of the online classes that my work have made me not to join.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I don't know, maybe, you know, we as individuals, we all have a different approach to learning. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So on my part, I would say that you should prioritize the lectures. Okay. I know last semester, for instance, some people even came in late. As at the time we started lectures, the class size wasn't that large. But writing mid-semester exam, which was quite late to the point where we are about to start exams, or I think 2 weeks to restarting exams. When I checked from the LMS, the class size was 90 or 91 or so. I was a bit surprised. Okay, because during the face-to-face meeting, yes, the whole lab is packed. However, it's not that there are some spaces in between. Okay, the lab takes I think 70 students. Okay, but if it's packed and every seat is occupied, we are assuming that the entire class, everyone is around, but that's not the case. Okay, and the other thing too has to do with the online lectures. A lot of you miss the online. Imagine we are 90 in class, and at the moment there are a little above 30 people, okay, joining the online session. Last semester, there was nothing with our timetable. So, unlike our first lecture today, a lot of complaints that people can't make it on the Saturday, which, like I said, we'll discuss after the session. Okay. But last semester, the timetable was okay for everyone. Okay. So if you couldn't join, that means that it was your own decision not to join. But all that I'm trying to say is that I'm sure there are people who joined the class from the beginning of the semester and still had some difficulties understanding the course. Okay. Now, the way programming is, there are some concepts that when you are taught immediately, you might understand it in class and immediately you leave and you don't practice. You lose those that understanding you got. Okay, and it will take some effort to relearn again. The other concept that you might not understand in class, and maybe you get someone who, or a friend, a colleague who you think understand it very well to explain it to you. Okay, and that usually helps. I usually advise students to try and locate someone in class who get some of these concepts very well. Sometimes students don't tend to get it when the lecturer is explaining the thing. However, when they go back and they meet their own colleagues who explain to them, they're able to understand the concept very well. Other times too, there are people who are reading or going through other materials which are different from what is being taught in class, so they end up being confused. Okay, rather than maybe focusing on what is being taught in class and asking the lecturer if there are maybe some resources to help understand the course. But some students will just go online, get any material and use. Sometimes it helps. Okay, but I always tell students there's two approach to learning programming. In our approach, it's academic. There are other approach that are professional. Okay, so with a professional one, you learn it alone without any course assigned to it. Maybe you don't do communication skills, you don't do African studies and maybe electronics and tools. We are only learning maybe programming in, say, Java for about 3 to 6 months. And that's what you learn every day. Okay, so those approaches are way, way different. In our context, we are meeting once a week. Okay, and that once a week, we spend 2 to 3 hours. Okay, and usually it is not enough to be able to capture almost everything or understand everything that is being taught. So it's up to you as well to make the effort. In this case, you get a personal laptop, have the application installed. Whatever we try in class, you try the same thing on your laptop. Ask or request for resources and use them as a means of practicing some of these things. This semester, I intend to for us to use Oracle platform. Okay, so hopefully by the time we meet on Tuesday, I'll have gain some access to it, and then maybe you can all sign up with your email address so that aside what we'll be doing in class, that platform will also be used to assess you, because we have an agreement with them as a department, an MOU with them. So we'll be using that platform as well as a secondary resource to whatever is being taught. Okay. Noah, do you have any concern?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right.
So,
Any
sir,
other?
then you should,
Yes, I'm
you should
listening.
make the, yes, sir. So you should make the materials that we'll be using for the practice. You should make it available for us.
No, so like I'm saying, there are things that are available. For instance, you have your handouts, you have maybe the ID we'll be using, things you have to install and all that. But maybe you as a person, I don't know the way you learn. Okay. So maybe you
Okay.
as a person would need some additional resource to guide you. But the general thing that we need to learn the course, I'll make them available.
Okay, sir.
My own style of teaching. Okay.
Okay, sir.
However, it's up to you. If you think, oh, you need some additional resource to help you. Maybe you don't like the hard copy thing. You want maybe some websites or some videos that can help you. Then I can suggest those things to you.
Okay, sir.
All
okay,
right.
Sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah. George.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Mine is about the time. You know, in the last semester, anytime we're having class, maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes, getting to 2 hours time, the lab guys will come around and say they want to close the lab. So we are compelled to close. So I want to suggest that now that we are going further and further, things are becoming more difficult for us. So if they will grant us that permission that maybe when we close, we nominate some people to do the locking and to submit the keys to you to hand it over to them the next time you meet them.
As for that one, it's beyond my, there are instances where things get missing for the lab. I don't know if Monica, you do that. Initially, when you come to the lab, you have to count the keyboards and things at the class rep.
Yes, please.
So they need to be security conscious. Even me, a lecturer, I can't go and take the key that I'm coming to because I have a class there. I'm coming to have the lab technicians are not around, so I'm just going in for the key to start the class. There are protocols to Observe. That's their office.
Okay, sir.
Okay, if anything goes wrong there, they'll be held accountable.
Okay, sir.
So, by this semester, I intend that with our face-to-face meeting, like I said, I'll use 1 hour for the demonstrations, the next 1 hour for assignments and presentations. Then you have 1 hour left. So what I can do is I'll talk to them. Those of you who would want to practice a bit more can use that 1 hour left. Okay, or maybe some 30 minutes from that 1 hour to spend some time at the lab to do something. If
Okay,
not, so that's the best I can do. But if it's not on the timetable and it's time for them to lock the lab, that one I can't stop them from doing that.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay, so I think if there's no question, we can begin the class. Okay. So we look at today. Look at chapters 1 and 2. Okay. So, what is Java programming? Okay. Now, Java is a programming language, and it's a high-level and robust and object-oriented programming language. It is also secure. Okay. Just this week, I came across what was it called? I came across a website which talked about had a ranking on some programming languages. Okay, so let me just share that with you quickly, and then we can take it off from there. Okay, so this website is known as the TIOB Index. It's an index for ranking programming languages. Okay, programming languages in terms of its popularity. Okay, so it says in terms of this popularity, in terms of it's being used in developing applications and softwares and so on. Okay, so according to them, the first on their list as of June 2023, okay, is Python, and that one is understandably true. Okay, Python is one of the most used programming language. The fact is that it is one that has a lot of libraries which can aid in different domains. So when it comes to domains like artificial intelligence, okay, software development, games, and so on, enterprise applications, and so on, even web development. Python as a programming language covers all those domains and has libraries or resources. Okay, and it's also simple to learn. So a lot of people, okay, tend to use it a lot. Then C programming language and even C++. Okay. Now with the C programming language, it's one of the highly, should I use respectable, okay, respected programming language as of now. Okay, in the sense that it's most of this programming language or high level programming language that we have, okay, were built on the basis of C programming language. Okay, so in one way or the other, there's some link to the C programming language. So it's still revered as an important programming language. Then there's C++ as well, which also being used in different domains. It's also considered as the most difficult of all the programming languages to learn. Okay, that's why in almost every institution, academic institution, the first programming language they learn is C++. Okay, so that it gives you insight into the various concepts in programming, concepts which in Python and Java, JavaScript and so on, you would not even be mentioned. In C++, it covers all those concepts. Okay, so you are privileged to have started learning C++ as your first programming language. Then also there's Java. Okay, so this semester our focus is going to be on Java programming language. And there's C#, Visual Studio, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. Okay. Now back to our lesson. So Java was developed by Sun Microsystems, which is a subsidiary of Oracle, and it was designed or created in the year 1995. Now, if you remember from last semester, the LMS, I made available an image showing who created Java and when it was created, and other programming languages as well. Okay. Now, James Gosling is the father of Java. Okay, programming language. Now, Java is a programming language as well as it has what we call a platform. Now, a platform could be a hardware or a software environment in which a program runs. Okay. Now, Java runs on what we call the Java runtime environment and also an API. Okay, so those are the two platforms that Java runs on. So let's go to some devices, okay, that that currently uses Java, or applications that can be built with Java. Okay, so they are desktop applications. Okay, so applications like PDF Reader, Acrobat, Media Player, and so on. These are applications that can be developed using Java. Then we also have web applications. So web applications are so also considered. Then there are enterprise applications. So enterprise applications such as banking application, industry-based applications, and so on. Then we have mobile applications. We have embedded system. There's smart cards. There's also robotics and gaming, and some other domains in which a Java application can be applied. Now, there are four main types of Java application. Okay, so Java is really a broad field, a broad programming language, and there are four main types. Okay, the first has to do with standalone applications. So if we say an application is a standalone application, it means that that application is not networked. Okay, it can only work on one computer. Okay, and when it happens that way, you can network it to another computer running the application. A typical example is maybe if you take Adobe Reader. Okay, Adobe Reader can run on my machine. I can open an application with Adobe Reader, but that Adobe Reader is not network or doesn't have any connection with another Adobe Reader running on maybe Cyril's laptop. Okay, because what? It's a standalone application. Okay. Now, these standalone applications or this traditional software that we need, or these are traditional software that we need to install on every machine. Now, these softwares are created or built using what we call Swing or AWT components in Java. Okay, together with the object-oriented programming concept. Now, there's also the JavaFX, which is a more advanced, rich internet application context in also developing Java application. We'll talk about that in some few minutes. Okay. Then the second type is the web application. So web application means the application that runs on the web. Okay. Typical example, maybe ATU's website. It's a web application and so on. Now, these applications are considered or runs on what we call server sites, and they create dynamic pages. Okay, so you can move from one page to the other, and they are created using servlets, JSP, Struct, Spring, Hibernate, JSF, and other technologies are used for creating these web applications in Java. Actually, you learn this more of this at the BTech top-up level. Okay. Then there's enterprise application development. So they are used to their applications, like I said, example is the banking applications, and they are usually of high level security and load balancing and clustering as well. And they are developed using the enterprise Java Bean technology, okay, to come up with such applications. Okay. So these are high level applications. So if someone wants to develop an application for a bank, and usually these applications are networked. Okay, so if a bank has 3 or 4 branches, that means that the application should run on all those branches. There should be a high level of security to it. Okay, because these are people's life savings, monies, and so on. Okay, so there should be some high level of security attached to such an application. Then we have mobile application. That's the fourth type of applications developed using Java. So they are created for mobile devices. Okay. So currently we have Android application, which is developed based on the Java programming language. Now there's also editions of programming languages, editions of Java programming language. Okay, now if you are usually go online to download maybe a resource related to Java, the resource focuses on these 4 different editions or platforms. Okay, the first one is the standard edition, Java standard edition, so Java SE. Okay, usually you see them when you go to the Oracle website, Java, to get resources. Okay, the resources are classified into this edition. So you should know the application you want to develop and the edition in which that application would suit or will fall in order to download the resource for your development. So there's the Java programming platform. It includes Java programming language, APIs, such as the java.lang, java.io, java.net, java.util, java.sql, java.mat. Okay, and this includes topics like object-oriented programming. We look at strings, exceptions, multi-threading, IO stream, networking, AWT swing components, and a few others. Okay, so basically what we are doing this semester and for next semester, Java 2, all falls under the standard edition. Okay, all falls under the standard edition. Then we have the Enterprise Edition. So Enterprise Edition handles web-based applications and enterprise-based applications in Java. So we've talked about some of the technologies used in those aspects. Then there's the Micro Edition. So Micro Edition mainly has to do with mobile applications. And then finally, we have JavaFX. Now, JavaFX is used to develop what we call Rich Internet Application, RIA, Rich Internet Application. And they are considered to be more of lightweight as compared with the AWT, that's the Abstract Windows Toolkit, and the Swing component. We'll do more of that next semester in Java 2. Okay, so this components here, the AWT, the Swing, the JavaFX, are used to design applications with graphical user interface. Okay, with graphical user interface. Unlike what we did last semester and what we'll be doing this semester, we are still looking at console-based application. So if you say console-based application, like last semester, the application is running in the form of a text. Okay, so what is your name? You type your name. And how old are you? You type it. There's no graphical user interface to interact with. Okay. However, this approach has to do with having to do with when you are coming up with an application, for instance, something like mobile money. Okay, so using the USSD approach, you enter the short code and then you select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mobile money, merchant, this, that, you choose one and then you move on. Those are all examples of console application. There's no interface or button for you to click and so on. Okay, so we'll be doing more of that again this semester, but looking at it from a higher perspective of the object-oriented programming. Okay. Now, the Java programming language has various editions. Okay, so depending on what you are developing, you should know the edition. So there's in our case, we are doing more of the standard edition. Okay, now the version has to do with some resources you need, and one of the key resources here is called the JDK, Java Development Kit. Okay. We'll explain that later. So it comes in different versions. Okay. We'll look at that in the setup installation process. Now, some features of Java. Java is simple programming to learn, comparing that with C++. Java is relatively simple, clean, and easy to use. Now, you notice some things when we start programming. For instance, it automatically generates some of the codes for you whilst you are typing. So long as you know what you are typing, it will generate it for you or give you options. Okay, so for instance, if you are typing, let's say you want to type int, immediately you press the letter I, small I. It gives you options of words or keywords that start with the letter I. So you see, okay, it's int that I want, or it's import that I want. You select import. Okay, rather than typing it all and then you notice, oh, you made a mistake. Okay, and because it's also a case-sensitive programming language, when you type I and it's import or int you are expecting, it gives you a lower case. Just a moment. All right, sorry for that interruption. So like I said, the Java programming language is relatively simple, okay, provided you know what you are up to and you are using the right syntax. You should always find your way. And also some of these things that I've explained or mentioned are triggered when you have your JDK, okay, properly installed and properly working. Okay, so we look at that when we get to setting up the environment. Then also it's object oriented. So if we say a programming language is object oriented, like I said, we talk about classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Then it's portable. It's portable. Now, when you compile, when you run and write a Java program and you run it, it's converted into what we call a bytecode. We'll talk about that shortly. Okay. And this bytecode can be run, okay, on any platform, can be carried to any platform and then compiled in order to implement a task. Okay, so whether it's MacBook or your Mac OS or your your Linux platform or your Windows platform, the Java is able to work there. And so it's platform independent. Then also it is secured. Okay, so it's a secured programming language. With Java, you can develop virus-free system. Okay, and they are secured based on the fact that you do not need pointers. Pointers are only used in C++ programming. Then it runs on virtual machine, which we'll talk about shortly. The Java virtual machine, there's a class loader, there's a bytecode verifier, and also there's a security manager. And the language is robust, so it uses strong memory. It uses the automatic garbage collection, which runs on the virtual machine to get rid of objects which are not being used by the Java application anymore. There's concept of exception handling, which is something we are going to look at extensively next semester, how to handle exceptions. Exceptions are known as runtime error. Okay, there are some error that prevents you from running your code. And if you notice, we saw a lot of that last semester. Okay, and then there are some type of error that happens when you run your code and you don't fulfill, you make some form of maybe a wrong entry. Okay, so maybe someone asks you to, or for instance, you are using mobile money, then it says press 1 to maybe pay to a merchant or something. And then instead of pressing 1, you press A, okay, and you press the key or the letter A and you hit enter. Okay, it's going to give you some form of an error. Okay, so those are exceptions. The program is running all right, but from the user's perspective, okay, you are making such an error. Or maybe you are supposed to sign in into maybe your YouTube account or your Gmail account, and you make an error with your password. Okay, how is it handled in the program? So if we say Java is robust, those are some of the things that it handles. Okay? Or you are writing a program and then you are supposed to enter a number or perform division. And in division, we know that's what you can't divide by 0. And you end up entering a number divided by 0. Okay, it gives you, there should be some form of exception to prompt you that you can't divide a number by 0. Okay, so like I said, these are features of a programming language that makes it robust. Then it's architectural, it's architecturally neutral. So when we say that, we mean that there is no implementation dependent feature. Okay. Now, if you remember last semester, I gave you this document on data types. And if you go into it, there's a part which talks about the data types that we have and the memory they occupy, the size or the space they occupy in memory. Okay. Now, if you go back to that document, realize that there were two columns. One column was for one compiler, and the other column for another compiler, compiler A, compiler B. Now, if we take a data type int, compiler A had 2 bytes. Okay, so anytime you use int for that compiler, it occupies 2 bytes, whereas the other compiler occupies 4 bytes in memory. However, in Java, it doesn't work that way. Okay, in Java, it is based on the architecture of the operating system. So if it's a 32-bit architecture, a 64-bit architecture, they all carry the same bytes in memory, which is 4 bytes for integer. Okay, so that's one thing you should know. Then it has high performance, it is multi-threading, that means it can perform different tasks, many tasks at a go. Then it is distributed, okay, by use of the RIM and the EJB. These are all the means of coming up with distributed application. A typical example is the banking applications. Okay? And then it's also dynamic in the sense that it supports loading of classes and so on. Okay. Now we have some abbreviations here, or some mnemonics here, which we are going to look at. We have first the JDK. Okay, these are things that you should know as someone who is into Java programming. We have JDK, we have JRE, and we have JVM. The JDK is the Java Development Kit. The JRE is the Java Runtime Environment. And then the JVM is the Java Virtual Machine. Now, let's start with the JVM. Now, if we say something is a virtual machine, that means it's an abstract machine, or it's not a physical machine. Okay? Now, if we go back to last semester, let me just open the LMS and let's see, just to introduce something to you on the LMS. I shared a diagram with you on the LMS last semester. Just a minute so that the diagram loads and then price. The image can't load. Okay, let me see if I can get it from the website. All right, so I believe we can all see the image. Hello, can we all see the image?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
sir.
All right. So
Yes, I.
so Java Virtual Machine, like I said, it's an abstract machine. It's not a physical machine. Okay. Now, what it does is that it provides a runtime environment in which Java bytecode is executed. Now, it also runs programs that are written in other languages as well, okay, and compiles them. Okay. Now, this JVM is available for many hardware and software platforms. Okay. Now, this is what it does. Okay. So, anytime you write a Java program and you save it, the source code is saved as .java. So, I've written my program in Java. How to swap two numbers. I've written it in Java. Now that Java program is passed, or when I hit run, it goes through what they call the Java compiler. That's Java C. Okay. Now that source program is compiled into what we call a bytecode, and that bytecode is just a file. Okay, it's a file with the extension .class. Okay. Now that bytecode, before it gets to the point of machine code of zeros and ones so that the machine understands, it goes through what we call the Java virtual machine. So the Java virtual machine has a class loader. It will load this bytecode, which is a .class file. It will load it. Then it will verify the bytecode to see if it's right. Okay. Then after verifying, it goes through the JIT. The JIT is known as the just-in-time compiler. Now the JIT will compile the bytecode or interpret the bytecode into zeros and ones. Then once the machine understands the code, its native machine code, it then converts it or runs your application for you to get your output. Please, I hope that's clear.
So can you take it over again, please?
All right, so I'm saying that anytime you write your Java code, okay, which we'll be doing from next week. So let's say I ask a question, write a Java code to swap two numbers. Okay, now that Java code will be saved as .java, and we call that code, Java code a source file. Now that code will, when you hit the run button or press the run button, it's going to be compiled into what we call a bytecode, which is a file with the extension .class. Okay. Now, when it becomes a bytecode after you've used the Java compiler on it, it has to go through the Java virtual machine in order to get to the code the machine understands, the native code, which is zeros and ones. Okay. So the Java virtual machine will first load the bytecode, which is a .class file. So the class loader will load it. Once it loads it, it will verify the bytecode, okay, to tell whether it's correct, there's no error. Then after verifying it, it goes into the JIT, that's Java, just-in-time compiler, okay, which is all this falls under the virtual machine, and then it will translate it into zeros and ones for the machine to understand, and then now execute your program for you, or swap your numbers for you. This, I hope that's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's how Java application works. When you write a Java program, that's how it works. Okay. Then the next thing is the JRE. The JRE is known as the Java Runtime Environment. It's an acronym for Java Runtime Environment. It is written, or it's sometimes also written as the Java RTE. The runtime environment is a set of software tools which are used for developing applications, and they are used to provide runtime environments. They are used to implement the Java virtual machine, and they exist in a form of libraries or files, okay, which you can download and install, okay, download onto your machine. So when we look at the setup, I'll show you some of the JRE files. Okay. Unlike the JVM, it's not a software or anything you need to download and install. I'm installing JVM, no, or having it on my machine. These are virtual machine which comes with the Java setup to help in compilation. Okay. Then there's the JDK. JDK is an acronym for Java Development Kit. Development kits are very, very, very important when you want to develop your application. Now, if you remember the example I gave about the fact that, okay, you need, if you are typing something, it gives you a drop down with some suggestions as to what to type and so on. It's the JDK that helps you with that. Okay, so it exists physically in the form of a folder. You can also download it from Oracle's website and use. They are in different versions and they help you to develop your application. Okay. Now, JDK contains a private virtual machine in it and a few resources such as an interpreter for the loader, contains a compiler, and it contains the archiver. Okay. Now, this archiver is known as the jar file. Okay. Now, when we write our Java application and we want to convert it into what we call an executable file. So if you use Windows a lot and you download an application, you see the extension .exe. Okay, meaning it's an executable file. You can run it. You can install it on your laptop or your Windows laptop. Okay. Now, if we develop your Java application, write your Java application, and you need to convert it into an executable file, you need this jar file from the project in order to convert it. Okay. So basically, that's it for the introduction to Java programming. Any question? Any question before we move to the IDE? Any question? Any question? Okay, so let's continue with chapter 2, where we are looking at the integrated development environment. Okay. We'll just do this introduction briefly. However, next week we still have a feel of it and then continue from there with some coding. Okay. So Java as a programming language can be developed using so many different platforms. Okay. Now, there are platforms like, let me just spell some of them out. Just a moment. So there are platforms like IntelliJ, IDE. There are platforms like NetBeans. There's a platform like Eclipse. I think it's double L or so. Sorry. Please, can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
There's Eclipse. There's Eclipse. There's JCreator. JCreator. Okay. And a whole lot of them, plenty of them. Okay, there's Android Studio, Java, Oracle Developer Studio, and a whole lot of them, which you can use for Java, developing applications in Java. Now, the most used ones are these three: IntelliJ, NetBeans, Eclipse. Okay, but a lot of people use NetBeans. Okay, especially if you go online and you search of maybe YouTube for a tutorial video on Java, a lot of people use Eclipse. Use NetBeans. Why? Because NetBeans. I nearly said Netflix. NetBeans is a freeware. Okay, freeware meaning it's a free software. IntelliJ is proprietary. Okay, if you say proprietary, that means it's a paid software. Okay, the Eclipse also has some form of a license you need to apply, okay, in order to use it, and then also the JCreator, I think, is also a freeware. So usually a lot of people use the NetBeans a lot if you go online. Okay, but with ours we'll be focusing on, or we are going to use the IntelliJ, okay, for most of our writing our programs. Okay. If you want to use IntelliJ, the NetBeans, that is fine. Okay. I'll be using the IntelliJ. It has certain features which will make the application development easy, not only at the console level, but when we go further to the level of using the Swing components, that's in Java 2. Yeah. Right. So back to our document. Okay. So IntelliJ IDEA is an integrated development environment. Okay, so just like last semester, Java, C++, we use the Dev C++. Okay. IntelliJ is a software, it's an integrated development environment for Java programming. It's designed to maximize developer productivity. It does the routine, repetitive tasks by providing some form of clever code competition, static code analysis, and refactoring. It allows you to focus on the bright side of software development and make it not only productive but also enjoyable when developing. Okay. Now the platform can have so many languages running on it. Okay, but our focus is on Java. Now, the IntelliJ has some editions. There is the Ultimate Edition, which is commercial. Okay, commercial means more of a proprietary software. Then there is the Community Edition, which usually is free. Okay, it's free. So with the Community Edition, you have limited features because it's free. You don't tend to enjoy most of the features. Then there's the Educational Edition as well. So let's go into the interface to see what is required. But before that, some minimum requirements which you should know. Okay, so with the minimum requirements, at least 2 gig RAM, but I think 4 gig RAM will be okay. That's the minimum requirement. Then the CPU should be a modern CPU, multiple core. Your disk space 2.5 gig. It will be okay. Usually SSD will work faster. Then your monitor size and so on. It can run on Windows, Mac. Okay. And that will be it. Okay. So if you go to the interface, there's the navigation bar, there's the project to window, there's a run to window, there's a context menu, there's a status bar, there's the editor, and there's also the pop-up menu. Okay. So I launch into I'm using the IntelliJ 2019 Ultimate version. Like I said, the Ultimate version has a lot of resources. In fact, you can write so many programming languages, develop so many tools with the Ultimate version. Okay. So to start with, we create a new project. Okay. Please, can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The software, or what do you see? Is it the handout or the software?
The handout. The handout, please.
The handout.
Sorry,
The
let me
handout.
move to the software. Can you see the software now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So let me just close this and start all over again. So you have your new projects. Create a new project. So if you remember from last semester, we were doing more of creating a source code. Okay, but this time around, you are doing more of creating a new project. Okay, we'll be doing a project. Okay, so we are doing more of a project. Okay, if you create a project, usually the project will create a folder, and that folder can have source codes and other files in it. Okay, but if you use the source file, it will create just a file, like we saw last semester. This time, if you use a project and it creates a folder for us. Okay, so create new project. Now, because I'm using the Ultimate Edition, I've installed a lot of, it comes with other programming languages and frameworks that I can use to develop other applications. Okay, but the community edition, because it's free, it comes with just the Java application to develop your Java applications. Okay. Now, the next thing is for you to add what we call your JDK. Okay, so it says project SDK. Okay, so usually if you've installed it fresh, it depends on the version you installed, you'll not see any JDK or SDK here. Okay, you wouldn't see it here. Okay, so what you do is you click on new. Okay, now new will take you to your folder. Okay, and then you search for this part. Now, before you get this, let me just take you online a bit to explain something to you. Okay, so you just download maybe or search for download JDK. Okay, now this will lead you to Oracle's platform website to search for the JDK. Now, I'd always advise, okay, don't always go in for the latest or the current JDK. Okay, so if you see here, it says version 20 and 17 are available now. Okay, now why I'm saying you shouldn't go in for the latest, because usually there might be some error in it. Okay, and sometimes your code would be correct, but the JDK, because it's error prone, okay, especially the latest ones, might not make your application run. Okay, so for me, there are 3 versions that I usually go in for. Version 1, which is one of the old versions. I have version 11 and also version 15. Okay, so these are usually the versions I use all the time, especially to test people's application. Okay, so go in for one which is relatively older and more stable. That's the right word. Ones that are stable. Okay, so you can go down, scroll down. I'm sure there's a part that talks about older versions or so. Okay, or you can just search directly by this Windows. Okay, you can search directly by the versions and then download them. Download it. Okay. You can download it as an executable file or as a zip file. Now, when you open it, so for instance, I come to Drive C and I go to Program Files. When you download it, it creates a folder in your program files as Java. Okay. Now, when I open the Java folder, I see all the JDKs I have here and the SDK. Sorry, the JRE. Okay. So usually, like I said, I use the Java 1.8 version. Okay. So if I open it, okay, I see some of the files there, and these are what will help you develop your application, or in fact, run your application. Okay. So they are not any big file, just install them and then you can use them. So usually your how do we call it? When you are searching for the JDK, it will take you to that Java file path. So you select one of them, whether 1.8, whichever one you downloaded, you just select it from here. Okay. And then you are good to go. So once you select it, you hit next. Okay. And then here, don't check the box, just go to next. And then specify the name of your project. So maybe my project will be sample PT or sample part-time. Now this will be created on the desktop for me. Okay, so you specify the path. So I click finish. And then I should have the project created on the desktop, which is the sample path. Okay, so this is what I have in the folder, idea, this. Okay, now because I've not created a project yet, I can't do anything for now. Sorry, I've not created my files yet to write the code. This is what I have. Okay, so with my project created, I have this window open, sample PT. Okay, so we have the navigation menu here, file, edit, and so on. Going forward, we look at some of them and use some of them in our project. Okay. Then there are other pre-installed softwares here which you can use for other projects. Okay. So a lot of work will start, or we start most of the work within what we call the project tool window. That is here. Okay, the project tool window shows you the files in your project, just like we saw those 3 files. Okay, but our main focus is going to be on the SRC file. That's the source SRC folder. That's the source folder. Okay, so if you come back here, you see the source folder. That's where we'll be creating our files, okay, in order to run the project. So usually the first thing you do is that you right click on it, go to new, and then you create a class. So everything we do, we start by creating a class. So I'll give it a class name, okay, or sometimes too, we create what we call a package, okay. So I give it a package name. So package, I'll say pom.sample. Okay. Then once I have this, I have my package created. So if I go back into the folder, okay, I should see the package created, sample package. Okay. Then within my package, which is created in the source folder, I right click on it and then create a class. So I can name this class maybe sample. Now this naming of the class is very, very important. It is an identifier. So because it is an identifier, we don't use space in between them, just like we learned the rules of writing your variable names and all that. Okay, from last semester, those rules apply. So if, for instance, it's your first sample, sample 1, you don't say sample 1. You either use underscore or you just say sample and 1. Okay. Else, I remember one of the exams, I was going around and the student was stuck over here for close to 10 minutes, at close to 30 minutes. He said he's had an issue, the machine is not working, the work is frozen, it's not working, so many things. So when I got there, I was like, this guy has spent over 30 minutes trying to just create a class. Yeah, that means he has not even started writing the code. And he had a space inside there how he was going to name the class. So because he had a space there, it looks like when he clicked, nothing was happening. Okay. You couldn't create a class to write the program. And he was there just sitting behind the machine. Until I told him, advised him on what to do. Okay. So that is it. Once you do that, it creates your application for you with your editor and your code here. And then you are good to start writing your Java program. Any questions? So that'll be it for today. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please, after opening the user interface to us, please, I saw that they've written Android. My question is, does it provide a platform for building Android applications?
Yes, it provides. Like I said, there's a community version which is free. That one gives you only Java. Okay. And like I said, Java is a language which is wide. You can develop Android mobile application and so on. And Android is based on Java. Okay. So you'd see Android here. This is the Ultimate Edition. So it has options of giving you several languages and platforms which you can use to develop. There's even Python here because I've installed them on the platform. Okay, so the
Thank you very much,
IntelliJ
sir.
has that option. Yeah. Okay. Yes, any other question? Yes, Obriyabwa. Any question? Obriyabwa, your hand was up.
It's okay. I wanted to ask something.
Okay. Please ask questions. Oh.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, the limited version. With the limited version, can it be linked to Android Studio?
Please. We are not doing Android Studio here. I don't know why
sir.
your question is going towards Android Studio. We are doing application object-oriented programming with Java. We are not doing Android. Android is the whole topic on itself.
What about your turn?
Okay, so let's
Okay,
limit
sir.
our questions to what we are doing. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, Emmanuel, do you have a question?
Yes, please, my question is, for now like this, I'm busy, so I would love if you post the video on the LMS for us to go over it again.
Yeah, the
Because
video
I was able
will be
to.
shared. Yeah,
Okay.
it will be made available. This time, not the video itself, but the link on the LMS, so that
Okay.
the link will take you to YouTube to watch
Okay,
the
sir.
video.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, if there's no question, we'll continue from here next week. Like I mentioned,